Hi guys, and welcome to this review, which is going to be covering some models from CCZ and a model from Kbear. As we all know, Kbear is another one of Chi-Fi's brands, the older brands, I would guess. And it has in CCZ and in TRI two sister brands, and each one of them caters to a segment of the market, more high-end or more middle or more low-end. Anyway, I've got here several products, and Kbear, as we know, or CCZ, they've got their own particular house sound, much like you get from TRN and from from CVJ and from KZ. I would say, although those other brands, KZ and TRN especially, have evolved in terms of their tuning style, Kbear and CCZ have kind of maintained themselves to a very particular sound, which was more used 4 or 5 years ago, which was predominantly V, great big bass, and ends up giving us IEMs which sound always more or less basically the same thing, whichever the model is. There will be some differences because of the drivers being used being better quality or low quality, but ultimately they are not IEMs that I would say really stand out. They're just another one, and they leave a little bit to be desired many times if what you are looking for is a more precise sound. If on the other hand what you want is a fun, engaging IEM to use in the gym or to just use casually, then fine. Then in that department, CCZ and Kbear, especially CCZ, which is the predominance here, they tick the right boxes and they're doing what has been intended. Anyway, what do I have here for us? I've got here on the bottom here the DC02 Solo, and then on top of it there we go. And on top of that, I've got the DC01 Pro. So the DC01 Pro, as you can see, is focus, an all plastic shell. I mean, it looks how it feels. Okay, the Solo, they've put a metal faceplate, which does give it a nicer finish. Of the shell is basically still the same plastic, and it's got that little lip here on the back for the ear, for fixing it better to the ear. They are both single DDs. Next to that, I've got the BC04 and the BC04 Pro. This is the BC04 and that's the BC04. These are 1+1s. Again, the same sort of finish as in the Solo, a resin plastic shell with a metal faceplate. The design has changed slightly. This is the BC04, and now the Pro version, the faceplate is a little bit different. It's a nicely finished faceplate. It does look nice. Next to that, I've got the BC01 Pro and the BC01. These are both 1+1s as well. Lower quality finish in terms of the faceplate. The driver choice also doesn't seem to be the same as the driver choice used in the slightly more expensive models. And then in the end, yeah, I've got an older model, the BC02, which is a single DD. So single DDs, 1+1s, single DD, and then in the front here I've got the KB01 single DD and the KB02 1+1. In that here the extra driver is actually a bone conduction driver. Okay, now let's jump into this and focus on ultimately what is the most important IEM, which is the KB02 here. All of those IEMs, they all cost between the $17 and the $27 price bracket. For the intended purposes of being fun and engaging, they do all that work fine. Some do it better, some do it worse. The ones that have the cables are the ones that ultimately have done that job the best. The case here of the Solo, the case of the BC04, the original one, the Pro, I believe has been a step backwards. These ones here just didn't impress me. That's all. I'm not gonna deny it. And the BC02 also impressed me in its stock format. Now, these three have subsequently been subjected to a little mod by me. And in their stock format, they are fine. They are really nice, and for what they're supposed to be, fun, engaging, affordable, bang for the buck kind of thing. Fine. Modified, that changes things significantly. The BC02 here becomes an IEM that I would say easily keeps up with some of the best single DDs under $50, and that's why I'm surprised why that just didn't tune it in the way that I did, which wasn't a difficult mod to do. It was a relatively easy mod to do, but this tune, like I have it tuned now, sounds absolutely phenomenal. It sounds really, really, really nice. And can keep up with the likes of similar IMs from KZ, the likes of the Saga and so on. It can keep up with them. It definitely can. The BCO4, the 1+1, again, with this small little mod, will again keep up with the better 1+1s that are out there. The ZSN, from KZ, which is a really nice 1+1, and a few others which are a little bit more expensive. The case of the case of the Ignite X from Celeste as well. It keeps up with it very nicely. It's a very small mod, but it just polishes the signature totally. The Solo modified, it's still very much a bass heavy IM. It's still very much V-shaped, but it cleans up the mids and upper mids. And although of the three, it's the one that the improvement hasn't been as marked, it is still an improvement over its original tuning. And again, I wonder why CCZ didn't just tune it this way, because if they had tuned it this way, I am absolutely positive that it would have been more successful, like I am with the others as well. If they had tuned these particular models, the Solo, the BCO4 and the BCO2, in the manner that I have done, I am absolutely positive that they would have sold and that they would have gotten way more favorable reviews than what they did get. But look, it is what it is, and that's it. So, we can't really do much. Transitioning now here onto the KB ears, because that's ultimately the focus of this review. The KB ear, the KB01 single DD, is an IEM that its biggest obstacle, or its biggest obstacle, no, not obstacle, my apologies, its biggest enemy was the fact that it came at a price point where you have a lot of other very competent IMs that are priced basically at the same value and even less. I'm talking about, for example, the Cadenza from Q Years. I'm talking about models like we've recently seen, oh my god, I had a blank now. The KB10 from the BQ10, sorry, from BQEYZ. KZ's offerings as well, especially the Saga. There's a number of single DD IMs priced in that $20 to $40 bracket. The 10i5, the C2. There's a number of IMs in that price point there, which are very well tuned. And I'm not even talking about now things like the Zero from 7 Hertz. We already know. I'm talking about the more, let's say, or some of the models which are less known. So there are a lot of models. We know that the 7 Hertz Zero is a nice sounding IM. We know that the Moondrop, the Chew 2 is a nice IM, and it sounds competent, and so the KB01 had a lot of offerings in that price point, which made life for it difficult. It has a nice beryllium coated driver. It sounds really good. It's got a sound which is very much like the Cadenza, maybe just a little bit more energetic in the upper mids and treble, but very much that same sort of sound. Another one that has the same shell and basically the same type of sound is the IVP IQ100. The same sort of thing of everything there, of driver, shell design, sound, everything, tuning. And that made the reason to buy the KB01 a little harder to justify. I mean, yes, it sounds good. Yes, it's nicely built. It's got a nice resin shell with the white bore tips like I have here. It's the best option in my opinion. It fits nicely. It looks decent. It's got a nice faceplate design. But the price, I mean, they should have been maybe a little bit more aggressive in terms of the price. Instead of pricing it at close to $40 like it was initially, they should have had it at like just I don't know, under 30, 28, $29, $27. That would have maybe made people want to look into it a little bit more. Coupled to the fact that, yes, we know that Kbear doesn't usually have this more modern style of tuning. That kind of made people not want to even give it a chance. Okay, enter the KB02, and the KB02 basically follows up on that formula of the 01, adds a bone conduction, and the only thing that I truly think is a pity here is they didn't make the bone conduction to be switchable on and off, much like you have in the CVJ, the Yuki, if I'm not mistaken. No, not the Yuki. It's the CVJ, the Assassin, which is a slightly more expensive model. But there's a CVJ which also uses a bone conduction at this price point. The CVJ. Oh my God. What a blank I had. Yeah, what a blank. Anyway, there's a CVJ like the Assassin, which is a 1+1+1, so it's got a DD, a BA, and that bone conduction type of driver. The interesting thing about it is that they've actually added the Konoka. There you go. I remember the Konoka. They've added switches which you can put on the BA, put on that bone conduction vibration driver, and that's the only thing that I really feel that is a pity they didn't implement the same thing here on the KB02. And why do I say this? Well, very simple. In this format, where obviously it's going to be always in this format where the driver is always, that vibration driver is always working, if you're going to use this as an IM for gaming purposes, phenomenal, fantastic, really nice. I don't do much of gaming, but I did try just a few demos, a few game demos to see how it was. Really good, really good. Movies, very nice. It gives you a more sensation of presence, of, you know, it really nice. If you're going to listen to music, then you have to stick with genres which are not going to be demanding. So if you like listening to vocals, if you like listening to classical, if you like listening to jazz, if you like listening to stuff where that vibration, that presence of the vibration driver is going to be made very noticeable, and noticeable, unfortunately, in not the most correct manner, much like was the case as well in the Konoka, by the way, then you kind of have an IM which is not going to be a jack of all trades, because if it had the switches, you could always switch off the vibration damper, or whatever, driver or bone conduction, or whatever you want to call it, and then, yes, say to yourself, wow, you know, this does the job nicely. This really can play music nicely. I mean, another IM which also uses a bone conduction, obviously, is a little bit is a little bit of an understatement, but there's a Celeste model which also uses the bone conduction, although it's a 1+1+1 as well. But in that particular model, the way that they've implemented the bone conduction, the vibrations are significantly more mellow, okay, and thus, by being more relaxed, I'm talking about the Bluetooth Beast, my apologies, I should have mentioned that. And by being more relaxed, more modest in that vibration, it integrates itself into the music better, and so it's musically, it's very capable. The problem with the KB02 is because that vibration damper maybe has been implemented in a manner which is a little bit more aggressive. You in hip hop, so in genres which are high energy, you won't really notice it detracting from the song. It might even help give it a little bit more of a bump. But then when you start listening to stuff like I don't know, let me see, Believe Me by Dean Brown, or Feel So Good by Diane Reeves, or Fly With Me by Danny Chavez, or Home by Dominic Fil-Aime. You know, when you listen to music, you feel that bone conduction is coloring the sound in a manner which is I mean, it's not that it's offensive, okay, but it just adds a resonance. It gives you a sensation to the sound that you're listening to it at the end of a tunnel. Okay, basically that's the best way I can describe it. The sensation you get with the KB02 when you're listening to more more genres which are more worked, more filled with instruments and guitars and so on and so forth, is that you are listening to the music and you are at the concert, but you are in one of those halls or those corridors that lead to the main concert hall, and so you get that echoing. Okay, when you're listening to it with hip hop or something like that, then it's fine. Then no issues. It's great. It's fantastic. Or if you're gaming with it or watching movies, then it's there's no issue. So that's where I think that the KB here really lost out. Now the music, when you listen to music and that it's not being negatively affected, how does it sound? It sounds great. I mean, it's got the same Beryllium driver as the KB01, so the highs are clean, detailed. The mids are really good, detailed as well. On occasions, I would say maybe it's not even harsh. It's just the energy level. There is a little bit too much. Bass really good. It's clean. It's dynamic. It's a nice sounding IM. There's really nothing negative about the way that it plays music when the music doesn't affect it in that manner that I mentioned, that you're listening to it at the end of a tunnel. Okay, and that's why I said that if they actually had the switch here that you could put on the vibration damper or the bone conduction, put it on, I think that would have worked wonders. Honestly, I think it really would have worked wonders. And that's basically it. That there's really not much more I can say here about the KB02. A nice IM if you're wanting something for the specific purpose that I mentioned. Costs around the $35 to $40 price point. It's a price point which you have a lot of other offerings which maybe might lose out ever so slightly in terms of the gaming or of the movie kind of experience, but will be definitely more capable musically wise. I mean, this one, yeah, the BCO4 with this little mod that I've done, musically it's really nice. I mean, it plays really, really well. Something that I just wasn't expecting for there to be such a dramatic difference, and it's a better IM musically. And that's that, guys. All right, I'll just show you now quickly basically the graph of these two. There's no point of showing the graphs of the others, I mean, and we'll wrap it up. All right, you take care now. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section here for the Kbear KB02. Let me show you here the graph of the Kbear KB02. Here we go. That's the graph of the KB02. As you can see, this is the bone conduction driver vibrating, and so it appears in the graph in this way. But the rest of the graph, non-offensive, peaks at 3K, drops, some extension past 10. Nice. I mean, really nothing offensive. If I take here this 100 hertz point corresponds to about 2K, which usually doesn't become offensive or anything of the sort. Plenty of energy below that, which can counteract any lack of polish here in this area of the upper mid. So fine. Compared to the Kbear01, this is the graph, and you can see the graph almost identical. Obviously the non-existence of the bone conduction doesn't then add that resonance that I'm talking about, and this difference here in extension here, I really don't know. Both sides measured the same way. I guess what I audibly hear is the same amount of extension, let's put it that way. I don't really feel any difference in extension, and even more I on times, and I think it's the vibration of the bone conduction that's doing that. It even feels like the upper mids might be just a little bit less polished than on the Kbear01. As a terms of comparison, because I mentioned the cadenza and the IVPIQ 100, just so you guys can see how close they are. That's the cadenza, okay, and that's the IVPIQ, and this is the IVPIQ 100. As you can see, they are all the same, basically the same driver. The interesting thing here is that the cadenza, when compared to the Kbear01, sounds smoother. It doesn't sound as it just sounds smoother, and the same situation happens with the IVPIQ 100. They all use that same beryllium coated driver. Well, at least IVPIQ uses the same beryllium coated driver from what I was able to ascertain. They all sound very similar. It's just a slight difference in the way that this area here comes across. where I would say the IVP IQ 100 and the cadenza are a little bit more polished, and you don't notice that slight graininess that sometimes the KB01 showcases. Just for the sake of curiosity, this is the BCO2, which is that single driver that I mentioned. That in stock format, okay, it sounds fine. It's peaky and this and that. But then modified, like I did by me, that's what you get. Okay, so that you get a really, really very competent sounding IEM. That 100 hertz point, as you can see here, corresponds now closer to 3K. It actually is already plateaued, and this compared to the KB01 is a better sounding IEM than the KB01 in my opinion. It's got that extra little bit amount of polish that the A1 lacks. That's it, especially in the upper mids and treble. The rest is basically the same. So who knows, maybe the driver might even be the same in the BCO2. And that's that, guys. Hope I was able to shed some light here on the KBO2. It's a nice IM, it's good for what I think its intended purpose was, mainly gaming and movies and so on. Sound wise, the BC implementation, not the best that I have seen. If pure music, especially genres which are more demanding, is what you're looking for. All right, guys, as always, like and subscribe. Any questions, please feel free to ask me. All right, take care now. Bye bye.